Carlos Nelson with Cascade Media, and tonight we have a young lady that is running for our Jackson County Prosecutor. Who do we have here?
You have Tracy Chappell, your Republican candidate who's running for the office of Jackson County Prosecutor. We've discussed a little couple of things beforehand, but I am an attorney. I've been an attorney for over 24 years. So, I mean, I know I probably don't look it, but I've been doing criminal law for 24 years. I've been the prosecutor for the city of Blue Springs. I was appointed by Carson Ross.
All right, hold up. Hold
Yes.
up. Oh, Ross is my man. He comes on
Uh,
all the time. All right, but this is what I want you to do.
yes, sir.
Go back to kindergarten, darling, and tell our audience a little bit about yourself. Then we'll get into your professional, where you went to school. Tell our audience some of your mentors, some people that help you formulate who you are, your values, and different things. Run it down.
So I am originally from Alabaster, Alabama, born and raised. So when I came to Kansas City and people were saying, what high school did you go to? I told them, you're never going to know. You are not going to know. So I went to high school. It was called Thompson High School. It's a 7A high school. So they're recruiting from University of Alabama. They're recruiting. LSU is recruiting from there. Mississippi State. Everybody is coming to Alabaster, more importantly, Thompson High School to recruit. That's where I came from. So when we talk about family, I came from I would say a broken home. My parents were divorced at a young age, but my father stayed in my life. Mom stayed in my life. And even though they were divorced, they were very instrumental in telling me, you can do it. Whatever you want to do, you can do it. So I am the third oldest of 6 kids. And people think that I'm the oldest of all of them. When you're the youngest or the middle child, you have to have your voice be heard. You just have to. You have to step up and make it happen. And so I did that. Now, my journey was I went to Jacksonville State University, which is in Anniston, Alabama, and met a guy there. And that's how I ended up in Kansas City. It's always a guy involved. When a woman moves somewhere, it is there. And I came here for law school and I ended up staying. And I brought my Southern values here. People thought I was crazy. Why are you speaking to me? Why are you talking to me? I didn't say anything to you. It's okay. You need to get to know me because you don't know who I am, but you're going to. And so, from a person who came here not knowing anybody, I ended up knowing so many people
What
from
year
just
was it?
that was 1997. So I've lived in Kansas City longer than I've lived in Alabama. So I think I've been here almost 28 years. That's crazy. Yes. So I've been here. And when I came, one of my brothers came also. So, he was a mess when he came. I had to put the lockdown on him and tell him, while you're here, I'm your mama. Let me get you straight. And now he's an electrician getting $1 million contracts from the city and various other places. And I am so proud of him because he came from a background of drugs and violence and having to be incarcerated to get his life together. And I would like to think that I had a hand in getting him on the right track.
This is what I would like to say, and I talk to you off camera. As I always be telling people, be like, "Listen, no, so why you be telling people you was a gangster and all of this stuff?" Because it was the truth,
The
and
truth.
you cannot. Your brother has the same story, and this is where who you have as prosecutors can really make the difference. Because my butt should be locked down for to be locked down forever. But I was fortunate that some people seen something and kept giving me the get out of jail card per se. And even after that took place, when I started this current endeavor with media was in '08, and I was just dealing in sports, high school sports, and I was real reticent
Yeah.
to do that. I was like, man, they're gonna bring your history up, and that's gonna kill you. And that's when I decided I'm not gonna let my past stop me from doing what I want to do with this media. And,
Absolutely.
and I started telling, hey, yeah, I did this just like I told you, ran it all down. So I'm like on the air.
Yes.
So now whoever you got the tabloids and what have you, you can't say shit because Miss Nelson done told everybody what it is. And when I looked at a Malcolm X and different ones, because you had a past, don't let that dictate your future.
It
And
cannot.
and I'm gonna wrap this up as it relates to this prosecuting is very important who you have at these lead positions. Run it down.
I'm going to tell you this. It is vitally important to have a prosecutor who can connect not just with the Black community, Carl, but in every community. You are not a prosecutor strictly in Kansas City. You are a prosecutor for every zip code in Jackson County. It is your job to make them safe. And right now, everybody's focusing on the violent crime. I keep telling people, and I've told them for years, you can focus on that and you can focus on Kansas City. But that violent crime and property crimes is edging its way to Eastern Jackson County because you have people who are moving there and they're taking that same mindset with them. And so when you're focused only on one area of people and saying, oh, we're here, I'm like, you're missing Eastern Jackson County in total. You really are. And so it's vitally important to be connected to those neighborhood associations, but it's also vitally important to be connected to other groups, pastors, other leaders. You have to do that. I'm telling you, when I told you I practiced for over 24 years, I have seen so much. Somebody told me the other day, they're like, your stories seem fabricated or made up. And I said, no, no,
Hold it,
no.
when you listen to most Black people in general, when they start telling their stories, these people don't have stories like we have for the most part.
Exactly. Exactly. So when I told you I've been practicing, I have been the prosecutor for the city of Blue Springs. That was really interesting because that was my first job as a head prosecutor. Okay. So when I came in, it was interesting because people thought I should not have had that job. They started asking me questions about how did you get here? Who did you know? Why did you get appointed? And some even thought I have more credentials than you. I'm telling people I've practiced law. I have argued before the Court of Appeals, the Western District Court of Appeals. I've argued before the United States of America, Eighth Circuit Court of Appeals. Okay. I've done civil work. I've done criminal work. You name it, I've done it. So for me, even with the prosecutor's office, when I worked for Jackson County, the Jackson County Counselor's Office, it was my job to counsel every department head in Jackson County. That's the Public Works Department, the Parks Department, collections, assessment, human resources, the jail. I counsel every department head on legal issues, including that of the prosecutor's office. When they wanted to discipline somebody, they came to me. How can we discipline them? Can we fire them? What are the steps that we need to take in order to make this happen? Or various other issues in that office. What do we need to do, Ms. Chappell? And it was up to me to tell the prosecutor's office on how to make that happen, how to make that work. And that's out of their sphere of comfortability. They only know criminal law, okay? I know criminal and the civil sector. So for me, it was, when I'm running for this job, I am the only candidate that has been the head prosecutor. I am the only candidate that has ever had to counsel and give legal advice to the prosecutor's office. Everyone else, they've probably tried cases. They've been in the office, but they've not run anything. They've not been the head of anything.
Tell me
So
this.
what?
Excuse
Yes.
me. I want you to tell our audience what is your actual platform.
So the platform is quite simple. The office of prosecutor it's people make it a big deal. It's not, it's really simple. My job is to prosecute crime. Plain and simple. I know it's like, that's it. That is it. Any statute, state statute that is on the books, any Missouri Constitution that is on the books that where there's a violation of that, it is my job to prosecute that, to prosecute violent crime, to prosecute property crimes, even crimes against children. Nobody even really talks about that. We hear about prosecute this, prosecute this. Carl, what about crimes against children? I deal with juveniles all the time. I also represent parents in family court. I am having kids who have drugs in their system, which their parents gave to them, uncle gave to them. These cases are not prosecuted. Kids are innocent. They're our future. We're worried about the educational piece of it. How about let's start at home? When you have a skull fracture as a child, when you are beat so severely where you have broken bones as a child, when you have drugs in your system as a child, and these cases are not going prosecuted, that is a serious problem. We always talk about our kids are our future. Are they? Carl, are they really? Because we're not doing anything about that and we're sweeping that under the rug. So as your next Jackson County prosecutor, it is my job to prosecute those who've been violent and who have violated our future, which is our children.
That's a mouthful.
Not only that, because there's so much more. We deal with drugs, the drug cases in Jackson County. Gene Peters Baker submitted a letter to the Kansas City Police Department, basically telling them, do not send any more drug cases to our office unless it is coupled with violent crime. Carl, when people sell fentanyl to our kids, that's not violent. So that means that you're not prosecuting those cases.
That is violent to me, even though
I think it's
the definition of violence.
I think it's violent.
It's worse than violence. That's murder.
It is murder. And as your next Jackson County prosecutor, those who sell fentanyl to our kids, the kids who are dropping like flies from one dose of fentanyl, they will be treated as if they had murdered someone. You will be prosecuted.
All right. What do you have to say about every morning I wake up, right? And my email, I forgot what, every morning it's like 3 people done got shot.
Yes.
It's like I'm like, did they kill somebody every single night?
Yes. When you're waking up, like you said, when you wake up and you're seeing this, Carl, you have to stop. And I want people to stop and really think about, why are you not having this in Platte County? Why are you not having this in Cass County or Clay County? They are surrounding counties in comparison to Jackson County. They surround Jackson County. They are not having those problems. And I am telling you, when you do not prosecute like it has not been done, people think they can get away with any and everything regarding these violent crimes. Trust me, I practice law in Platte County, Clay County, Cass County, Pettis County, Johnson County, Missouri, which is Warrensburg. I am everywhere. And when I hear clients say, if I had committed this crime in Jackson County, I would have had a slap on the wrist. It's insulting because I have 4 boys and a husband that are in Jackson County. And when people think I can do this and get away with it, I'm looking like you are impinging upon not only my rights, not only the rights of those in this community, but also my children's rights. I don't want to see it. And I don't want people in Jackson County to feel that they can commit crime and nothing's going to be done about it. Carl, word gets out quick. I don't have to get on a bullhorn and tell people, oh, I'm getting ready to start prosecuting. I'm getting ready to start doing this. When you start making examples of people, the word gets out real quick. It does. Right, Kansas City is small. It's small.
I told you my little gangster stuff. When I seen that, I had just come back from the '76 Olympics. This is before Rudy Giuliani turned criminal himself.
Oh my goodness.
He was the head guy. When I came back from '76, he had locked up everybody. I moved to Maryland. I was like, You're right. I'm saying when the prosecutors get busy, it's like the lights is on and the roaches better get out of
You
Dodge.
got to get out of Dodge. But you know what? Here's what else I would tell you, Carl. What's important to me and what has been happening. I know some people have problems with the police. You know, you'll in various communities, you may say we don't like police, but everyone will agree with me. We still need the police. When something goes down, you know, people pick up the phone, they want to call the police. But what's happening, and I'm hearing this on the campaign trail repeatedly, the police they're not doing anything. They're not doing their jobs. They'll come out, if they come at all. Or if they come, you know, 2 and 3 hours later. They'll come out and they'll say that there's nothing we can do. Well, they can say that because notoriously when they've gotten phone calls and asked to come to, you know, somebody's home or whatever, wherever the property is, they'll come out. They may make that lawful arrest. They may do the investigation. But when they take that packet of information to the prosecutor's office to review it for them to determine if they're going to file suit, they are doing what we call yellow sheeting, okay? Which is just, they'll put a yellow sheet of paper on that packet and say, we are not going to prosecute this. But police are getting tired of it. I was getting tired of it at Blue Springs. So much so, when I was out there, Carl, I was getting cases across my desk of drive-by shootings. That's a felony. And I was like, why is this on my desk? I'm asking the police officer to come down, talk to me. I'm like, did you even turn this in to the state? They said, we did. I'm like, well, what happened? They said they yellow sheeted it. They're not prosecuting. They didn't prosecute. I had tampering cases where people are stealing cars, and then police are just writing tickets, like it's a speeding ticket. Police are writing tickets now for tamperings, for drive-by shootings, for domestic violence cases that all these should be felonies. And they're writing tickets and citations as if it's a speeding ticket. This is what we have been reduced to, Carl. Enough is enough. The police are tired. I'm tired. The community is tired. It is time for new leadership in that office, and that new
Politicians are
leadership.
tired.
Everybody's tired. Everybody is tired. And people want to make this office, you know, they want to talk about, you know, are you Democrat? Are you Republican? Let's take the labels off of it. Let's make our community safe again. Okay. Let's make our community safe. It's not about a label. It's about doing your job. And when you do your job, everything else can fall in place.
See, my man was Albert Reeder.
Ah, okay. I remember Albert Reeder.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So I didn't tell you this. When Combat first got formed,
Sure.
I got the first check. It was a $50,000 check from Albert Reeder because I was running Vernon Thompson's Youth Action Coalition. I had lost my construction company, and I was coaching out at South Suburban Basketball.
Okay.
And working with the youth. And I got the first check from the half-cent sales tax. And who was up against me was Alvin Brooks. He had just really started Ad Hoc Against Crime.
Okay.
And I still got the check. And that's why I'm saying I talked to you about some experience I've had in different sectors. You would never even thought that I was involved in even that. So
sure.
Yeah. So it's very important who you have at these positions and what their position is on certain types of crime and certain deliverables that their position is supposed to be delivered.
And Carl, I will tell you to piggyback off what you said pertaining to you getting the first check from Combat, because we are dealing with the youth now that are doing the vast majority of the violence. I like to tell people the prosecutor's office, they have no bearing whatsoever over the juveniles. Okay, they do not. And a lot of people don't know that. The only time that the prosecutor's office will touch those juveniles is if they have been certified as an adult. So because we cannot touch them, the next best thing that I can do, because I've gone to Combat and talked to the director, I've asked him to specifically if I'm, well, not, I'm not going to even say if, I'm going to go ahead and claim this. When I am your next Jackson County prosecutor, I am going to earmark 5 agencies that are specifically geared towards juveniles only, that work with them through the schools, in the communities, throughout their homes, because we need to get to them at an early age. I don't want to see you're doing crime as a juvenile. I don't want to see that same behavior when you become an adult and have to see me. So I will, I
Like
don't want
that. I
that.
love it.
I don't want
They'd have
that.
to see me. You had to
I
come
don't
to the
want that
principal's
because
office.
come on now, because at first, as a juvenile now, it's grace and mercy. But when you become an adult, now there's some judgment there. Okay. So that's why I said you don't want to have to see me.
Hey,
Yeah.
your facial expressions and everything changed. That's what had me laughing. When you said you don't have to come see me, first thing it brought to my mind, you don't want to have to see the authorities, whether it was the principal or the chief of police, and you damn sure don't want to see the prosecutor without a smile on their face.
You don't want to see that. And you know what, Carl, in the family court, and it's so sickening to me. I see it time and time again. They are passing these kids just through the system with a slap on the wrist. Oh, it's okay, it's okay, okay. And they gives them the illusion that this is the way that the system is. They give them that illusion until they turn 18. And then they say, now it's big boy time.
And they don't really realize, see, because like I told you, I've been there, done that. They think they can do the time.
Nah.
I just was watching something, but when they get in there, it's a whole, and then you can't get out. Especially if you done got slapped with a dime or 20. You thought you could do it, but you just threw your life away.
I just had a client and it was so sad. I mean, it's you know, people want to talk about what they're going to do. They talk about connecting with the community. If you have not had any experience trying cases, if you have not had any experience really with hands-on experience dealing with defendants in cases, young defendants, you don't need to be running for this office. Let me tell you this. He was 18 at the time. His sister called him and said, hey, I'm coming to somebody's house. We getting ready to fight. He comes over there. The brother does. He's 18. He lights the house up and shoots somebody in the head. Another young man, his same age, shoots him in the head. That gentleman is brain dead. I mean, well, I say he's dead. They still have him on life support. I'm like, he's dead. Okay. He has a monicum of brain activity, but nothing else. And so when we went to try to negotiate how much time this young man would get, his mama showed up and told us all that we were prejudiced against her son because we were trying to, or because the prosecutor's office was trying to give him all this time. I had to look at her and say, hey, you can talk to your son every day, okay? This woman can never talk to her son. And so we're dealing with mothers who are stepping in, who have babied their son so much. When he gets to a certain age, you can't baby him no more. He needed a man a long time ago to mentor him. That's why it's mentor, okay? He needed a man to do that. And because he didn't have it and he had the mama to do it, this is the product of what that is. Now, the dad also came there, and the only thing he could say was, I feel like it's a curse against my household. I asked him, what do you mean? He said, my grandfather went to prison. My dad went to prison. I went to prison. And now my sons are going to prison. So you have generations of this thought process that's being repeated and repeated generation after generation. And once again, you have a prosecutor there who has to do their job because you've committed a heinous crime where you can't let it just slide. Okay. This is not one of those cases where you can say, okay, you young, I'm going to give you a second chance. You need to go sit down. So that gentleman he had to go sit down. He did. So, and I can say
in the head, he should be sitting for 25 years at least.
Yes. You know, and so he ended up getting, I think he got about 18 years. So he had an ACA, an armed criminal action, on top of the first degree assault. They even couched it as an assault. They could have charged it as a murder, because that's, in my opinion, that's essentially what it was. But when you have that, it gives you a bird's eye view into what people's mindsets are, or the mothers of those kids' mindsets are when after they're caught and they have to do the time. Now, the gentleman, he's sitting there, he's like, I can do the time. I'm like, bro,
Think you can do the
you
time.
think you can do the time because you in a maximum security. That's where you're going.
Hey,
You're going
the
to
county
maximum
is
security.
hard to do time for, as I'm concerned. When you can't go in the icebox or turn the TV on.
Exactly.
Hold it.
Exactly.
You be locked down. You might not even see no damn sunlight for 10 years. Be in a facility that they don't let you go out.
And I mean, and when you're looking at that, it's such a hard or disheartening thing to watch and to try to counsel the defendant through, but knowing that as the prosecutor, you have to do your job as well. So I mean, when I see these things, it can be heartbreaking for me because I have 4 African-American boys. Okay. But my husband's hard on my sons, and he's hard. He is. And so because he's hard on them, we've not had issues with police. We've not had issues with, I got to come pick you up from jail, or I don't know where you're at, or, what's going on with my son, or he's hanging out with the wrong crowd. We make sure we fill their time so that, they're not off wandering and getting into mischief. And so for kids that are out here, the juveniles that are out here, I always want mamas to know, let go, let go, let the daddy do what he needs to do with those sons. Let him do that so that they're not in a system, or they're not caught up in a system where they give, like you said, 25, 30, or even 10 years of their life to the county or to the state. I'm sorry.
So in closing,
yes,
tell our audience how they can contact you, how they can support you, and any closing words you want to leave them with.
absolutely. For those of you who are contacting me, go to my website. It's Chappell, the number 4 prosecutor.com. So that's Chappell for prosecutor.com. Also go on my website. I'm sorry, my Facebook page, Tracy Chappell for Jackson County Prosecutor. And also Chappell for Prosecutor on my Instagram. If you hear my message, it resonates with you, please go on my Facebook page, like the page, follow the page. And if you feel so compelled to do so, give a donation. I tell people there's no donation too small. $5, $10, $20. If you want to give that, it all adds up to big money. So we can have, yard signs and billboards and all the material that we need to get this message out to people. It is the most important race that we're going to have locally because it affects us all as a county locally. We want to be safe. We want to go out. We want to go to parades. We want to go out in the communities, and we want to be safe. And as your next Jackson County prosecutor, I'm going to do my job so that the word does get out and people will know it's a new prosecutor in town. Thank you.
All right. You sounding like Wide Earp in them. It's a new sheriff in town, baby.
It's a new prosecutor in town. Come on, Carl, listen. You know that leadership starts from the top and it flows down. If the leadership is not doing what it's supposed to do, nobody else can do their job.
The leadership got to have a plan, as far as I'm concerned. That's the main thing.
Absolutely.
Having a plan and then getting your team to buy into the plan and then implementing the plan.
Absolutely.
And have some test and measurements to see whether the plan is working. That you have some statistics. I say Black people act like statistics don't mean anything. You be trying to tell them 2 and 2 is 4. They be like, no, I believe it's 5 and it's 5. And I'm like, 2 and 2 is 4. No, I believe. What we believe versus what is reality.
Yes.
2 different things. And I think a lot of people are making a lot of important decisions on false belief.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're right. Like you said, you have to have those measurables. You absolutely have to have those measurables. And what that looks like, for example, and for those who are watching this show, if you say that you're going to prosecute in order to bring down the murder rate, you know, if we were 182 last year, it should be substantially less than that, at least 10% less than that this year. Okay.
You think you can blame them? People for a long time, but I haven't heard it over the last 6 months. They were on the mayor's butt. Because he came in and said he was going to solve some of these problems. I believe that's what he said. People are putting that on him as far as these murders and what have you, but they've only gone up since he's been in office. Do you think it's fair to look at him as it relates to the escalation in the murder rate here in Kansas City?
You know, here's what I will say, Carl. When you put yourself out as a politician and you say you're going to take all these measures in order to eradicate or significantly reduce the crime rate, people are going to hold you to that. They're going to do that. Now, it's not his job to prosecute crime. That's not his job, but he's taken some things and put it on his shoulders that don't belong there. That's not his job. Okay. But when you do that, you have to take everything that comes with what you say. Your word is your bond. It just is. It is. And so when you are not adhering to what you said you're going to do, you got to take that. You got to take it on the chin. You got to take the hit. You do. And so my advice to him is, because he is the city, he's the city mayor, he's not the county anything, then he probably should stay in his sphere.
Your lane.
You stay in your lane. Stay in your sandbox.
All right. All right.
Stay in your sandbox.
Hey, this was very interesting. And as I said, you know, Mr. Nelson be like the nutty professor. And well, but let me say this also. When at least you know how you are,
yeah,
that you got half the battle won.
Absolutely.
All right. And I know that this position is important. And I know we have some qualified candidates running for this position. And from my perspective, I want our audience to look at the candidates that we've had on our channel. And this is what democracy is. What is everyone saying? What do you believe? And then you've got to make a choice.
You have to do that. And Carl, I'm gonna say this before we get off as well. You want people to have experience. You cannot go into that office not having the experience and expecting everything to fall in place. Of course, it's going to be a learning curve for people, but you cannot go in there without any experience. And when I talk about experience, I mean some of the things that I talked about initially. When I'm able to counsel the prosecutor's office, me having that full aspect of that, me having been the only candidate that has been the prosecutor, where I set policies in my office. I dealt with the judges, because judges want different things. So you are going to have to learn to work with them and give information to your team, your staff, on what this judge wants, and still be able to do your job effectively. And so I'm always reiterating to people, this is not a popularity contest. This is not about, hey, that person's a great speaker. I like them. They stand out. They're charismatic. But can they do the job? And because of my experience, I am clearly qualified to do the job, and then some.
All right. I think this has been a very informative interview. I'm not going to steal Jim Watts's plum-pleasing pleasure having you on the show and all of that. I'm like, cut all them damn niceties out. This is how we roll. When you invest in your community, you're really just investing in yourself. Good night.
This is brought to you by Kansas City Business Association, working to improve our community.